online broadcast network, AfterBuzzTV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzzTV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Okay, as I'm sure you can see, it is girls versus boys today.
We switched it up.
Yes, I'm your host, Christina Kaplan. Sitting next to me is my beautiful co-host.
I have Stef Z. I had to sit far away from Kevin John tonight because I wanted to look him in the eye as I told him his team lost again.
And they're out of the running of the playoffs.
The first part is true. She just wanted to look me in the eye. That's all it was. And she just wanted to gaze into the beauty of my eyes. Thank you. That's a compliment. I appreciate it.
All right.
And I'm
Moving
Kevin
on.
John. I'm the 49er lover and all things NFL lover. And I'm so glad that you guys tuned in.
I'm Thaddeus Massey. I'm the voice of reason in the peanut gallery.
Or so he thinks.
Yeah, sometimes.
No, everybody here is a fan except for me. I think I keep it pretty.
You do. You haven't even like affiliated yourself with a team. It's kind of like a safe move. I don't know how much I like it.
I would have to say
Somebody has to play that role.
I would have to say, even though I'm a fan, I'm pretty unbiased when it comes to the entire league.
Except for the Chargers.
I mean,
You
of course
kinda
I
get
get
That's
what
upset
makes you a
when
fan.
you guys make fun of me over and over again
Which
for
we
the
love
one
doing.
shutout that we had.
That's not
But-
me. That's these two.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I used to really like the Chargers. They made some moves. I got disheartened with him when they got rid of Doug Flutie, when they got rid of Drew Brees. It just kind of went. And then Phillip Rivers was like the Eli Manning replacement, right? It wasn't he the quarterback after Eli Manning didn't go there?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this guy is good. He's really good. And then Antonio Gates came around and he started balling, and then we lost LaDainian Tomlinson, and that really chapped my
He was
heart.
dried up though by that time. When he went to the
man.
Jets, he was at the end of his career.
had,
Okay,
like,
let
a
me tell you
few good
something.
games.
He wasn't in the prime.
Let me tell you, he wasn't in his prime, but let me tell you something. He was still better than half the backs in the freaking league, even when he wasn't.
He played
The
well.
But I
man
mean,
of the
that's
Chargers
why.
He
but
played
you gotta-
well for us for a minute.
You got to realize that's why
He
a
did.
lot of
He had
backs
flashes of brilliance.
do get traded later on, like that have been once they get post peak because they can still demand big money. Chris Johnson, Darren Sproles, LaDainian Tomlinson, because teams can't hang on to them if they're still demanding big money, but yet they're past their prime. It's kind of a bad investment to put into a player. So with LT, I loved LT. I loved his little touchdown bloop, or whatever, bloop, whatever he did,
Yeah.
something like that.
You know what I have to say about the Chargers?
Are you wearing baby lotion?
actually.
Am I wearing baby lotion? I am. Do you like the smell of it?
I could just smell it.
Get a little closer.
Good.
The thing that I have to say about the Chargers is that I'm actually going to root for the Chargers over the 49ers this weekend.
Well, it doesn't matter because the 49ers are out no
So
matter
anyways,
what.
there's
Hold
a
on,
Monday
wait.
night game tonight.
I don't know if I'd root for the 49ers. I mean, for the Chargers over the 49ers.
Well,
Where is it? Where
I would
is
just
it?
It's
rather
in San
razz him.
Francisco.
It's in San Francisco.
I would rather razz him than her.
What's up with the curse of this new
Steph,
field?
you realize you're the only one on this panel right now whose team's record is like tied for the bottom
But
three
it doesn't
teams in
It's
the
matter.
actually
league.
the same.
It doesn't
It's actually
matter.
the same as the team that beat you last week. So you've got two consecutive losses. One to a team that had the same record as me, and actually I don't even know if the Raiders won this week.
So let me ask you a question. When was the last time the Jets made the playoffs?
The Raiders
On to
did
you,
not
Tina.
win. The Raiders
Tina.
did not
3 years
win.
ago.
Tina, do you realize you're the only team on this panel that was beat
Wait.
37-0
Okay,
by a
but
team
can I
that was
actually-
absolutely...
No, you know what? One of our fans.
She's about to cuss.
One of our fans.
I'll wait for it.
I need to look it up right now who it was because one of our fans posted. I'm surprised you didn't see it, Steph. That the Jets have made more playoff appearances than the 49ers.
Just overall,
In the
historically?
last, in like a certain amount of, in the last
let's
certain
look it up.
years, yes. We
No,
need
no,
to,
the
we
last
need
so
to
many
give
recent
credit.
years.
I'm talking
Yes.
about currently.
Really?
The last
Yes.
last 4 years, you realize the Niners have been to the NFC Championship 3 consecutive years straight.
We're gonna look it up. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
we had. I think it was Fantasy Stats Guru kind of.
And so,
And
okay,
now-
wait.
Revlacor, somebody
who
help
did
me
we
out.
pick last week? I forget who I picked. Did I pick the Saints? I think I did.
Yeah, I think we all picked the Saints.
I don't think I picked the Bears.
No.
Yeah.
2 of us picked the Bears.
I'm pretty sure you two picked the Bears.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
That's right, because we were
and
saying
they picked the Saints. We
Yeah.
picked the Bears.
Are
They
you
picked the
sure?
Saints. Yeah,
I think so.
Fantasy Stat Guru, please let us know
Pretty sure.
who
home.
picked
It was a
who
home-
last
It
week.
was a home game.
Yeah.
We thought.
Can
that
I
they
be a
were
little
winning.
tiny bit louder? Thanks.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna look that up.
But Tina, I was gonna say this real quick about your Chargers. I do like the Chargers personally because Alex Spanos, he's from Stockton, my hometown. He's actually his son's the owner now. So I grew up actually as a big fan of the Chargers. I don't have no hatred for them whatsoever.
Okay, so are the 49ers like totally and completely out of contention
Yeah,
for playoffs?
they have no chance to
Okay.
make it.
Are the Chargers completely and totally
No,
out
No,
of
they're
they're
still
in
in
the hunt.
contention.
Win our next 2
They're in
games.
the wild card hunt.
We can get the wild card.
Yeah.
Okay, so theoretically speaking, since the Jets aren't going to the playoffs and the 49ers aren't going
Well,
to the
we
playoffs.
knew that from week 5 that the Jets weren't going. But go ahead.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like if you don't go, you don't go. It's kind of like a W, whether you win by 20 or you win by 1.
Yeah, you're
A win
both
is a
out of
win.
it no matter what.
Yeah.
So pretty much
it's
what they're
kinda like-
saying is your record is irrelevant because you're not going to the playoffs,
That's
just as the
right.
Jets are not going to the
All
playoffs.
that matters when it comes
As
to...
you're sitting there agreeing,
Listen,
they're
Well, first of all, records actually, okay. In hindsight, I'm actually going to defend you on that because records after you've been eliminated from playoff contention, the only thing that records really depend on is your lottery and the draft pick. Obviously, if you end with a more horrific record than someone else, yeah, you're going to be able to get a top 5, top 10 draft pick. But as far as the Niners are concerned, I mean, we've had our fair shares of ups and downs this season. There's a lot of talk about Harbaugh being dismissed. There's talk about Capper. Well, he actually just got that big contract, so it would be stupid to kind of start looking in another direction for him. But
Speaking of
it was-
contracts, not
Well-
to cut you off, but I don't know why I didn't know this before, but I learned it tonight. That Jay Cutler is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
No. Well, we're going to get to that later, but now
Wait,
that you brought that up.
Can I actually make a
Talking
point?
about
I read
contracts.
because I was looking up about Jay Cutler's contract tonight, which
Mm-hmm.
then led me to look up about Cap's contract a little bit more. And
Right.
his contract is not the same as
Yeah.
Jay's. They
Cap's
could
is year to
let
year.
him go at
Yeah.
any time
Yeah.
and not owe him anything.
Exactly.
Caps is year to year.
Yes.
Caps, yeah.
Okay.
Cutler, listen to this. This is the most disturbing, atrocious thing I've read in the last year. It says this: there is a new highest paid player in the NFL this season, highest paid out of all the players.
And who
With
would you
his
think
new
that is?
7-year, $126.7 million contract, Jay Cutler, the Chicago Bears, replaces Peyton Manning as the player with the highest base salary in the NFL. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I mean, I am flabbergasted by that. I'm appalled, honestly.
Okay, so we're at the bar, we're watching the
can't find
game,
it.
and after Steph had bounced, we had gotten to this huge debate. It wasn't actually even a debate. It was actually more of a Jay Cutler would have got like teamed up on by all these guys because it was like, how is this guy? He's not even the top third of quarterbacks in the
Yeah.
league, and he is the top player. Like, is he even the top half?
I would take
Was he in
Tim
the top
Tebow
50%
over
Is
Jay
this-
Cutler.
Is he in the top 50%?
I would take Jamarcus Russell over Jay Cutler.
Oh my gosh.
I would take Troy Brown over him.
I mean, you gotta. I agree with you guys that
I would take Ryan Leaf over Jay Cutler.
I agree that Jay Cutler is definitely not
he's terrible.
not an elite quarterback whatsoever. But you also have to take a look at that non-existent offensive line that they have. He had absolutely
got
no
sacked like
time.
7 times,
sacks
right?
tonight.
I don't care. The reason I say
I
I
don't
don't care
care
because there were a lot of times when he was off, when he was not in rhythm with his receivers.
Right. I never said that he wasn't bad. He's bad, but to add to it, he has no offensive line protection at all. So it's
He
just
does. It doesn't help getting sacked over 7 times. So it's like he got eight times.
Seven
something like
sacks
that.
tonight.
Seven sacks.
Newsflash. I mean, the
So,
thing is,
that doesn't help. To his defense, that doesn't help at all. But I mean, dude, you're gonna give a quarterback that kind of money, and you're not gonna make sure that he has a proper protection to make sure he can do his job.
Yeah.
So there's like, he has.
They were talking about putting the backup in tonight.
yeah.
That's what they were talking about.
Well,
Like,
think about it. I
that's-
mean, there's
Jimmy
a
Clausen
couple,
from
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
there's
yeah.
a couple of reasons for that. You don't want the guy that you've spent, I was about to say wasted, all this money on to get hurt,
Yeah.
right? Because the contract's already inked. You don't want, have this guy get hurt, and obviously the performance and the momentum of the game is already going the way it's going. So just pull him and put in the backup, let him get some snaps under his belt, and who knows, maybe he'll mature a little bit, which is the whole point of getting back up some experience. But you don't want your elite, your marquee guy, your Bears elite guy to get hurt. You don't.
That is, you got to realize,
that kind of money.
He wasn't the only one that was under duress tonight. Drew Brees was under a lot of stress. He evaded a lot.
Listen, I'm talking about how this directly relates to the Chicago Bears. I'm talking about how this directly relates to the Chicago Bears and them leaving him in the game at the rate that the game was going. It would have been a wiser choice to pull him out. You want to protect the player that's not getting any protection at all, and especially if he's not performing well, all you're doing is risking him having injury, and you've already committed to this crazy, ridiculous, stupid, astronomical contract.
So what sense is that?
Cutler,
so why risk him getting hurt?
What?
It also seemed like he really didn't care. Going into that second half, there was no sense of urgency on the offense. He was walking to each.
He was like pissed.
Yeah,
it was evident in his post game. You could see his post game, his body language. He even when he even left the stage, the podium, from his body language just told the whole story.
Maybe there's something else going on too, because before this, I mean, clearly Brandon Marshall's out for the rest of the season. He had like a lung and rib injury, but I felt like there was some drama that we even talked about. There was drama between the two of them. So maybe he's just in this state of like, first there was drama with this guy, but he actually caught balls. Now I don't really have my go-to guy, even though we weren't getting along. But a lot of his passes were terrible.
They were. And actually, speaking of go-to guy, Martellus Bennett is actually second on the team behind Matt Forte as far as receptions are concerned. And
he had a horrible night.
He had a horrible night. And you saw the frustration between Bennett and Cutler, also between Jeffrey and Cutler. Jeffrey is another big play receiver, and he could really get him involved, and he was off as well. So
maybe his receivers are running crappy routes, and they're not getting open. Also,
before we go any further, in case you didn't watch the game, we should have said this. It was the Saints at the Bears, and the final score was 31-15 Saints. So back to our Cutler conversation. Here's his final stats: 17 for 31, 194 yards, 3 interceptions. He didn't have.
Well, he had 2 touchdowns, but they were late in the game that were,
right.
Don't count.
Didn't
they don't
really
count.
matter.
Yeah. Shows up on the stat sheet though.
What do you think the future for Jay Cutler is? Do you see him starting for the Bears again next season?
I see his future as a very rich man, according to his contract.
Yeah. I see him starting for the Bears again. I see, you see that he still has the skill. I feel like there's something else going on. I feel like that you saw, when they go for the 2-point conversion, when they were doing these things, he actually made a few good passes in clutch moments. So it's clear that he's a veteran in some way, but for some reason he's not executing consistently. He's very inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we just talked about his crazy contract, but so
insane contract.
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk too of Mark Trestman, their head coach, being fired. Do you think that is a more likely probability than Jay Cutler not starting next season?
Well, I mean, a lot of times you always, when you see teams suffer that have invested this much in the players, the first thing you always go to is the head coach. What's not working. And I think in the NFL, more than any other sport, the head coach is scrutinized more than anything. And that's just because there's a sense of urgency to win in a sport where we only have 16 games. But I don't know if I'd necessarily point it all at Tresto, because honestly, I don't think their defense was necessarily outstanding tonight either. You give up 31 points. There's very few teams in the league that can give up 30 points on the regular and still win games. And those are teams that have Peyton Mannings, Aaron Rodgers, and other offensive-powered machines that can do it.
But also, if the offense isn't executing, they're 3 and out, then you're going to keep your defense on the field. They're going to get worn down, and you're going to get scored on. So
which is true, because if you notice, the Saints put up, and that's another thing to attribute how bad the Bears' defense is. The Saints put up 2 or 3 80-plus yard drives down the field. That one was a 95-yard drive, which was wearing the defense down. But my thing is, look, you can't keep letting them convert and keep your offense on the sideline, And so I think in addition to, in addition to the poor offensive play, I think their defense has to improve as well. And back to what you said, Tressel, I don't know if he's the one that should get the axe. That's a really good question. I think it's a combination of things.
Right, but I think that the Bears will like say there's a communication problem or something that's just not clicking between the two of them, I think he'll go before Cutler.
Yeah.
Well, as far as Cutler is concerned, what is his contract stipulation as far as when he can opt out or when he could be traded?
I mean, I don't know the details. It's 7 years, $54 million guaranteed, $126 million total.
So if he gets traded, somebody else has to pick up that.
So they just have to pick up
exactly.
whatever.
That means the last team he'll play for is the Bears.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What other team
No one's
right
gonna
now?
take that contract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I mean,
It's not gonna happen.
So no,
You know
they
what?
wouldn't be that stupid.
I wouldn't mind Jay Cutler.
no, I mean,
Actually, I wouldn't want him.
yeah, I was about to say. You know,
He's got like.
Jay Cutler is not a Geno
Most
Smith.
diehard
Can't-
Jets fans said that we wouldn't want him.
No.
Look, honestly, Jay
he's
Cutler,
better than Geno Smith.
Jay Cutler has been more heavily scrutinized than normal because of this contract. He's not a bad quarterback. He's not
But he
shit.
didn't even do
He's
so
not
awesome
that
to get
bad.
the contract.
Here's the thing. The thing is, he shows flashes of brilliance. And he's just not consistent. And then when you have a game that happened tonight, you don't really know who's not doing what. I can tell you one thing: the receivers weren't running great routes. So if he's trying to drop dimes to his receivers and he's trying to sling them where they are, he can't always lead them if they're not running. Like if they're not running
Right, but I
tight
feel like
routes,
this
that's why
is-
you're gonna have tip passes because the DBs are gonna be like slightly covered. Okay, what do I do?
Right.
Nobody's running a tight route. Okay, I have to throw it over here because I have to get rid of the ball. Oh, it's gonna be a tip pass because it's not a tight route. Well, let me hold on to it. People are covered, which is what I normally would do as a quarterback because nobody's getting open.
Right, but if you would have turned on the Bears
they can't
game
protect
3
me. I'm
weeks
getting
ago,
sacked.
it'd be the same thing. Like this has been his inconsistent consistency the whole season, that he's been not throwing passes to where they could be caught. Like it's not just he had a bad game, his receivers didn't show up, they're running the wrong routes. Like there's a clear miscommunication going on with that team, I think.
Well,
Well,
yes,
they're not-
because remember
yeah.
when we saw them on Monday Night Football earlier in the season when they played the Jets? Remember that game?
No.
Yes. I remember we talked about how good he looked.
Yeah.
And that he was composed and he was.
Tina, anyone looks good against the Jets. Go ahead.
Okay, but still.
I cannot believe that I'm not going to be here next week to talk about. I'm calling in. I'm calling in.
to.
It's going to be 2 a.m. in New York, and I am calling in
Yes.
to talk about the 49ers Chargers, especially if the Chargers win. Okay.
Which they will. But anyways,
I love you,
yeah,
Steph. I love you. I do.
definitely inconsistent, which is not what you want in a leader, quarterback of your team, franchise quarterbacks.
How long has he been there now?
I think he's been with them the last seven seasons, or
Dang, has it been
since
that long?
2009. Since 2009. But I think the thing that's most
5 seasons,
mind-boggling,
okay.
speaking of his inconsistency, one of the things that's most mind-boggling about Jay Cutler is if you look at his stats, and they even showed this during Monday Night Football tonight. If you look at his stats over the last, I think it was 5 to 7 years. They showed the average quarterback in the last 7 years with as many starts as him, and they showed that his stats were average or below average compared to them. So the thing that's real confusing with me is why reward an average quarterback with an elite contract
Yeah, why is he there?
he's never been elite throughout. I could see if he had some sparks of being elite in his career, but I think any season back to 2006 when he came in the league, he was never considered a top 5 or even a top 10 quarterback. So that's I'm still a little confused. Maybe the Chicago Bears just wanted consistency at the quarterback position, so they were desperate to give him something, but I cannot justify that to save my life.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really understand it either, especially if you bring up the fact that clearly they showed the stats, were not adding up to what he was actually
Exactly.
paid. It doesn't really make sense because I will say, Colin Kaepernick performed as he, as you would expect for the
Absolutely.
kind of contract that he got.
Absolutely.
And he was
You know?
new. He was like the
Right,
new hot
exactly.
thing. Like this is someone
Absolutely.
who's been there. Like it wasn't like all of a sudden Jay Cutler did something that it was like, holy crap, we got to make sure he stays a Chicago Bear.
Yeah.
But money and contracts don't make a player better. It's up to the player to actually perform. To
actually
earn
puts
that
more
contract.
They
pressure
make
on
it
them.
worse.
Yeah.
It does put more pressure on him. And
I mean,
Jay
look at Cap
Cutler,
this year.
You can see that he has the pressure. I mean, I think if a player is capable of
Is
that,
it pressure or
it's-
they get comfortable? I don't know.
That's a good
I mean,
question.
I'm not sure about the.
Well, for Mark Sanchez, it was complacency. But for everyone else, it can always differ. It can motivate you.
I'm pretty sure. How many playoffs did Kaepernick get you guys to?
How many players? His first two. Well, he took over as a starter in 2012, and he took us to the Super Bowl that year. Last year, he took us to the NFC Championship.
I'm pretty sure Mark Sanchez did the same thing, not the Super Bowl, but to the championships.
Yeah,
his
he
first
went to the
years,
AFC
too.
Champ. That is true.
So
that is true.
I don't understand.
But I'm saying he got no. The question was, okay, what happens when a player gets rewarded that big contract? And we were saying sometimes
Sanchez
players
did not get a big contract.
No, he did. He did get a pretty hefty contract. I think it was after his third year in the league, and then we were saying that he got complacent, he got comfortable.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And yeah, exactly. And I
Or
think
he
that
got
was,
hurt.
Well, or he was eating hot dogs on the bench, whatever it was. But at any rate. I was saying the same thing. I'm saying it could have happened to my Cap as well. You know, he could have easily got a little complacent as well, comfortable with the big contract. But anyways. But
So what you just did is compare your Kaepernick to Mark Sanchez. It's kind of awesome.
Actually, because they both had success. They had a lot of success their first couple of years in the league.
Yeah.
So that's why I am making it. I think it's
so
a pretty...
Kaepernick's going to suck next year. Sorry.
I know. If he follows the trade... No, excuse me. Golly. I'm not sick. But anyways, no, I'm just saying that Cap, you know, once he gets it, yeah, whatever. But anyways, we'll see when they play the Chargers this upcoming.
We will see.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game.
Speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk about the other quarterback in this game,
Drew
Brees, who is 100% an elite quarterback in the league.
Oh yeah.
What did you guys think of his performance?
He's a baller. Shot call.
29 for 36, 375 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Signature Drew Brees game.
Yep.
But
Signature
I
Drew
feel
Brees
like
game.
it was almost effortless.
Yeah.
Drew Brees is like I said, to me, one of the most underrated elite quarterbacks in the league. I still feel that way. He still gets
Underrated. Man's won a Super Bowl.
I feel like if he had...
Yeah, but so did Trent Dilfer. I mean, that doesn't mean that's nothing. Right.
Yeah,
so
Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls.
Exactly.
So does Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
So that has nothing to do. Exactly. Point made. So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that Drew Brees to me is not underrated. I still
see what
feel
you're
like
saying.
he's underrated.
I agree with you, Thaddeus, and I think that if he was on a team, if Drew Brees was on a team, I guess, okay, let's say
He was
if
on the
Drew Brees
Seahawks.
was on the Seahawks, yes. I feel like he would just demolish
Yes.
everyone.
Yes.
Because that is the problem right now is the
Hands down.
Saints defense is horrendous.
Right.
And therefore, you know, and then even just all around, the Saints are not as good as they were, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like
just that
casting a
bouncing
shadow
scandal.
on his ability to shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you still see what an elite quarterback he is, despite all
Most
of
definitely.
the problems with that team.
He's one of the most consistent guys you're gonna find.
Exactly.
It's just-
And, you know, you made a very good point. You know, Drew Brees is one of those few elite quarterbacks that literally the team is on their shoulders.
Right.
Pretty much your play, if you have a bad game, your team's going down. If you play good, your team. He's not, you know, this is not taking anything away from Russell Wilson, but Drew Brees can't go out there and have, you know, complete 8 out of 15 passes for 90 yards and still win the game. Now, Russell could do that because he has a great cast around him, but Drew has to pretty much play at a superb level every game if they want to win. So that's why I give him so much respect, and he looked great tonight. You know.
Yeah. One of his usually notoriously most popular targets, Jimmy Graham, not so great. What do you guys think has happened to Jimmy Graham? He's definitely underachieved this season. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah. Is he hurt?
Womp womp.
Right now, I think he had something to do with the arm, shoulder issue or
Well, I mean,
something like that. But
You know,
What were
if
his
you-
stats for tonight?
he actually led.
5 receptions for 87 yards.
He was the leading receiver on the Saints tonight. Matter of fact.
Yeah, but he dropped a lot of passes that
Yeah.
typical Jimmy Graham catch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, when you're that phenomenal, you know, obviously there's high expectation for you game in and day out. Typically, 5 receptions for 87 yards for any other random tight end in the league. That's a pretty decent. That is a pretty decent. Our producers making sounds back
Well,
there.
let's
something,
roll
Alexis.
back to that
Say something,
Saints
Alexis.
49ers game.
No, I know that Steph caught it. I thought you said day after day, but it sounded like gamin after gamin or something like that. And it was like really,
We know
yeah.
what he meant.
Yeah.
What?
So we just kept going.
I guess
Yeah, we're used
they're
to
making fun of
Kevin
my.
John
They're
and
making
his-
fun of my diction.
Yes.
Aren't you a teacher?
I am.
Okay.
Am I in class right now?
Should be.
Yeah, because we're schooling
Should
you.
go back.
So listen, no.
No,
Should go back.
remember.
I wonder how did Geno Smith do on his Wonderlific test? Is it
Wonderlic?
Wonderlic. How did he do on that? Ooh,
I'm not
he
talking
should have went
about
to
Geno
class.
Smith. I'm talking about you.
Doesn't matter. Ryan
And
Fitzpatrick
I'm
got
Mensa,
a perfect
bitch.
score
That is
on
true.
that, and he's not a great quarterback,
I
so
agree.
that doesn't matter.
That is true.
Yeah.
But no, what I was saying is back to that Saints 49ers game where Jimmy Graham got called on the offensive pass interference on that phenomenal catch that would have
Oh.
given the Saints the win.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the kind of catches that you're used to seeing Jimmy Graham make, and he had a lot of dropped passes tonight that he normally catches, and he was being guarded by somebody half his size. Like
Yeah.
he looked like.
Was he cold?
I don't. Just kidding. Maybe. That was
What was that?
somebody
it was
was.
raining. It was cold.
It was
up
like
there.
40 degrees. No,
I
I
feel
think
like
it was
he-
colder than 40 degrees.
Yeah, I feel like he hasn't had a bad season. I feel like it's more like he had a bad game.
No, but they showed his stats. They're significantly his
Overall?
yards are
I'll look it up right now.
significantly
I'll look it
lower
up.
this year than they were last year.
Oh, okay. Maybe he's more hurt than we think.
I don't know.
That's the nature of the game. These guys play hurt on a regular basis.
Yeah. Right, but I'm saying
So-
maybe he's being affected in a different way, but there's no one else to put in his spot.
Well, and they were also saying during the broadcast that, I mean, you remember in the beginning of the season when there was all that talk of him wanting to be known as a wide receiver, not a tight end.
Yeah.
And everyone.
He wanted that wide receiver contract.
Exactly. And so they were like, no, you're a tight end. Be quiet. And but some of the guys were saying tonight that he's like whoever it was, whichever announcer was like, even though he was stated as a tight end, these guys are guarding him like a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they obviously it is making it a little bit more difficult for him, but still,
You gotta just
he's a skilled
gotta-
skilled player. He should be able to catch those passes.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta prove up. When you're competing with the legacies of
Yeah.
Shannon Sharps and guys like that,
There was just
then you gotta earn that.
there was something
Yeah,
in the
earn that
air
big
with dropping
contract.
balls this weekend, though.
Yeah,
Jordy,
did
How
you see
about
the,
the
did you
beginning
see
of
the
the
Green Bay
game? It was
Packers?
Jordy Nelson.
Oh my
they
God, the
had-
Packers dropped what 7 balls and Aaron Rodgers was dropping dimes too.
How
Yeah.
about the
I mean-
beginning of this game though? There was like back-to-back fumbles.
It was a
just such
messy start. It was like
sloppy-
no,
yeah.
But I
it
think
was
the
an
weather.
interception.
People realize that the weather does affect football games. It can, as far as fumbles and things. I mean, because they play outside in all kinds of different weather conditions. So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think we kind of take for granted that they're professionals, but sometimes weather does affect the ball.
No, I agree.
No,
it
it
definitely
affects it.
does.
It
Yeah.
definitely-
It affects it, but at the end of the day, both teams have that same weather. So the team that's more prepared, the team that, you know what I mean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
like only one team. It's not like only the Packers had weather if weather affected them dropping a million passes.
Yeah, we were all wrong on that. That was such a huge upset. And I just want to say, you guys, last week I kept telling you I don't think that this Packers defense is that good. And look what happened. The Bills came out and beat them.
Yeah, but the Packers have never won. They have never beaten the Buffalo
I don't
Bills
care
in
about.
Buffalo.
I know that stat, but I don't care about that kind of stuff. Like this Packers team is supposed to be at an elite top, team in the league right now.
Yeah.
They're gonna bounce right back.
Possibly Super Bowl contenders, and
Well,
they get
listen.
upset like
They're
that.
gonna
Listen,
bounce right
when
back.
you have teams that are premier teams in the league, for them to just breeze by the teams that you expect them to beat would almost assume that they might potentially have an undefeated season, especially if they're a premier team. That means they can overcome the obstacles of beating a good team or an above average team. But usually what happens is they do lose to the sorry teams because they underrate them, or they take that week off, or it's just assumed that they're going to win that game.
It doesn't matter,
and they
really.
usually lose. That's what usually happens. What?
Well, as an NFL professional, you should prepare every game.
And we did talk
As in the
about
Raiders
that.
and the 49ers, you see what happened with that game.
Yes.
They beat up on the Battle of the Bay. It was like, okay, everybody was like, 49ers going to win this game.
Well, the Niners have really been sloppy
Niners
this
win
year.
this
No.
It's like that though. There's a lot of rivalries, and I feel like I think we talked about this. I don't know, a few weeks ago, whichever team it was, that teams will come, like exactly what you said, Thaddeus. Like they'll come out and they underestimate the other team because they're like, oh, whatever, it's just the Bills. Like we'll be fine. We'll
Right.
beat them, no problem. And then the Bills come out like, this is the Packers. Like we need to win. This is we have no chance, but let's still win.
Right.
And you know, that's when they get upset. So
I mean, players know when they're on that big stage.
yeah.
You know, when you're playing Little Sisters of the Poor, and you know, there's the TV the TV ratings are going to be like whatever, because it's like, oh,
that might be my favorite one that you've pulled out.
Sisters of the Poor.
Little Sisters of the Poor. They're not playing anybody, right? So when a team that's an elite team is not playing anybody, it's like, oh, they're going to beat them. No one's really going to be interested. You got to remember, people want to be entertained. This is entertainment still at the end of the day. People want to see a good matchup. It's like watching a game and then looking into the second quarter or halftime, and then you see the score, like one of the teams is getting blown out. You're really not interested in seeing the second half. So you want to see some level of competition.
Like
Well, speaking of
shutting out
entertainment,
Johnny
and
Manziel.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Speaking of entertainment, what do you guys think about Johnny Manziel in his debut?
He
Thank
sucks.
God. I don't like him, and I'm super happy it happened that way. I think he's a little cocky piece of trash.
I agree.
If any players in the NFL, any player that plays professional sports is not cocky, they have no business being a professional athlete.
But
I disagree.
okay,
There's
On any
confidence
level.
and there's cocky.
Think
and there's a
about-
big
Kobe
difference.
Bryant is confident.
There's
That
every-
dude's a beast.
Yeah, but you can't be cocky and then your first start play like that.
Richard Sherman is the most cockiest player in the NFL. Look
Okay,
at
but
him.
can I make a
Right,
point
but there's-
though? Think about this. He's a rookie. His first start came in December during teams are trying to get to the playoffs, and Mike Pettin just threw him in there like, hey, you know, time to get your first start. Good luck. And then after the games,
Tina, are you defending his horrendous play?
no, I'm not defending Johnny Manziel, but I'm saying that Mike Pettin is equally as at fault for throwing him in. And this is what a lot of our guys on our show on NFL AM, I'm a production assistant for that show. You should watch it. It's a great show. But all of our analysts were
Nice
saying
plug.
that. All of our analysts were saying that. Imagine,
That was cute. I like it.
imagine throwing a rookie,
Right out of a Gucci
in-
magazine.
you know, right into playoff December. Like, it's intense football, and he just now he can't go back. He can't start
See, I
Hoyer.
don't know.
Now he can't start Hoyer.
Tina,
He
I
has
think
to
you have
stick
to
with
realize-
Manziel.
I don't agree with that. I feel like Johnny Manziel was probably sitting in a situation that was like, put me in, coach. I can do something different for this team. Put me in, coach. I don't think that it was a blindside, like, you know, 20th hour, whatever, the last hour call, like, go in now.
No, it wasn't. It was definitely decided on ahead of time. But I don't know if I necessarily think that Johnny Manziel was begging to be put in.
Not
no, no.
begging, but
This-
I'm
this is the
sure
thing.
if he was asked, I'm sure he's like, I got this one. Like, he has that confident, like,
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
the thing you got to
I just
realize
don't
is
like
Johnny
that.
Manziel has gone through extensive training and preparation for this day to start. It wasn't like this was his first week of practicing with the
You gotta be ready for that
first
every
team
week.
reps. He has been prepared extensively to play. I mean, you saw him earlier in the season when they had a special packages for him. They would bring him in the game. So I don't think he was just a blind sign thrown in. I think Manziel was well prepared. They've been working on him this whole season. It's been a developmental process for him, and I feel that they did everything they could to make sure that he was ready to play, and he just failed to show up.
And I think it's funny how all the other players were like doing the money thing in
Yeah,
his face.
that was-
like
they
it
were mocking
kind of
him.
showed exactly that
Mocking
they
him.
weren't
shows,
like
yeah, it shows what everyone else thinks of him. In
that
the
he's a
league.
little cocky piece of trash.
Yeah.
Look, at the end,
He's still
And-
talented,
and listen,
though. I'm not taking
He's
anything away from
talented,
him.
end of
and
the
I
day,
appreciate
listen,
confidence. I understand that, but he's a little bit too big for his britches right now, and he kind of showed his ass.
at the end of the day,
I mean, there's no other way really to say it.
this kid just got to the NFL.
Right, so you don't be acting like that until you do something good. Your
What
first
so
start-
but I
Thaddeus,
mean,
what do
this
you
is-
mean by that?
You
He
don't
just
see
got to the
Derek, you
NFL.
don't see Derek Carr. You don't see Blake Bortles. You don't
Exactly.
see these guys who are starting for their teams.
They're different people. He doesn't have to act like them. Why does he have to act like them?
No, he doesn't have to. But
Listen, this guy is himself as himself. I'm completely confident in saying that this guy would be like that even if he wasn't a Heisman Trophy winning, first round pick and all this whatever. That's his
Right, and I'm just
personality.
saying that people like
it
that
has nothing to
sometimes should
do
be
with
punched in the
him
throat.
being the guy.
and
I don't think
yeah.
it has anything to do with him being that guy who blah blah blah. He just happens to be a football player, and that's his personality.
Right.
He's just.
But the point is he doesn't have the talent, the skill to back it up, which is
Thank you.
embarrassing.
Okay,
Thank
and-
you.
Wait, hold on.
He should be
You're
embarrassed.
almost summarizing this guy's complete career off of one game, and he just got to the league.
I'm just saying he shouldn't, like, if he would have started his first game and shut another team out, then I could see him doing all of this and being like, woohoo, It's like, but it's not even his fault. It's the NFL's fault. You don't see Blake Bortles doing Snickers commercials.
Why are you comparing this guy?
This.
Look, when you become a professional athlete, you get endorsements. That's part of making money.
Right,
That's
but I'm
a
saying he
business.
got all these endorsements and all this stuff because of his whole
Because he knew how to
persona, the
know how to
swag, the
effectively
money,
brand
and none
himself
of it was
into that
based
stuff.
on his athleticism. And to me, that
It was
irks
based.
me.
Well, hold on, wait. So what athleticism was it? What was it based on?
In the NFL is what I'm saying. Before he
Okay,
played
so
anything
he had
in the
accomplished
NFL.
something to get to the NFL.
Of course, because he got
Okay.
Of course, I
So
understand
he's
that.
a
But
kid, he
I'm saying it's
just
a
got
very
there.
different game from college to NFL. We've said the transition
Yes.
over and over and over. So when
Yes.
he got the
Yes.
time to shine, he fell flat. I mean, that's
And
what
he'll
happens.
get more time to shine, and he will be doing this again.
But you know,
Yes, I'm
He
not
will.
saying he won't.
He'll ball out.
And you
If
know,
this kid is a flat out disgrace and just like
a bust.
if he's a total bust, a lot of people would be shocked.
and you
You can't be that cocky or confident and not have something to back it up.
Well, that's
to some level.
that's exactly my point that I'm saying. Like when you're that cocky and you haven't earned your keep yet in a league where
Exactly.
you're a rookie, it's kind of douchey.
No, it's just the fact that everybody wants to humble him and they want to haze him, and they're like, because they weren't that guy when they got there. Think about it.
But you know how badly
No,
all
I
these
agree.
these DBs and guys want to just
Exactly.
knock
Take him
the
out.
crap out
Yeah.
of him.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's like he shows
I've
up.
heard people say that they want so bad to just knock him
There's
down.
probably undercover bounty right now in the NFL going against teams that are playing him just to take him out of the game.
But with no like bounty, just because they want to just shut him up. That's what.
But is he
these
walking
other-
around saying I'm the best player ever? Or what is he doing?
Practically with his
Kinda,
actions
yeah.
and doing this. I don't know what this means. If someone's coming up to you after every play going like that, aren't you going to get a
It's
little
saying
annoyed?
money.
Yeah, imagine
Yeah.
if you were on the other side of the ball, Thaddeus. Like
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from, but imagine
have
if you
been on
were
the other side of
playing.
the
But no, that's what I'm saying. Imagine if you were playing Johnny Manziel. How annoyed would you be?
It's
how
just like
how
the
much would you
freshman
want
that
to
has-
just
To
shut
me,
him up?
okay, to me,
It's like
somebody.
you're not respecting your elders. Like you got into this league, like prove yourself before you're that guy.
They're all in the
and I
same
guess he's
place.
doing
Let me
something
say
right
this.
because we're talking about
let
They're
me
it.
say
all in the
this.
same
Let me say
place
this.
doing the same thing.
I have no problem. You know, I'm not bashing Johnny Manziel being flash and all that other stuff. If he wants to do that, that's fine. My thing is this. If you're going to be the Flash, be like Deion Sanders, okay? Be super flashy, all this, dancing around, but back it up on the football field. Johnny Manziel, all the flash.
So Deion
and was
Sanders has never had a bad game?
absolutely horrible yesterday. Absolutely horrible. His quarterback rating was like 1 or -3, and I don't even think you could be negative. It was absolutely horrible. So that's my thing against him. Is like, look, dude, if you want to come and play with big boys, you have to play like a big boy. You played yesterday like a Sisters of the Corn or whatever he said. All right? And that's what-
Sisters of the poor people.
Little Sisters of the Poor.
Sisters of the Poor. That's who he showed up
At
with
the end of
like
the day, I
yesterday.
just think there's too much assessment going on with this one game. Other players walking around. If the other players were true vets and they were confident in what they've accomplished in the league, they'd be like, yeah, so what, Johnny Manziel.
All right, so let's.
No.
They would be in his face going like this, yeah,
So
because
we
they got
saw
something to
that
prove.
we saw that first start. We'll see what happens this weekend. I'm
Right.
not sure who they play, but then we'll come back to it next week and analyze his second game because you
I
know
think
that
there just
Hoyer's
hasn't been
not,
enough play
Right.
to effectively assess what he could be in this league. You can't go on him having just been tossed in
Right.
for this one start and saying, see, we knew it.
Right, but
Come
what I'm
on,
saying
it's
is I think
ridiculous.
that it's a little bit more professional and a little bit more of not owning that you're going to be the shit until you are the shit.
Exactly.
But he's already proved that he is the shit.
Not,
So
Not
now
in
he
the
has-
NFL.
in
Not in
college.
the
not
NFL.
in the NFL. He's a joke right now.
In
Okay.
college, yeah. In the NFL, he's the
He's
laughing
only-
stock.
And did you see his suit that he was wearing? Someone needs to get that man a stylist.
All
Did
right.
you see his interview?
Enough Johnny football for one day. Let's move on to our prediction.
All right.
Johnny
Good idea.
football alone.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Can that kid live?
Ooh,
Goodness.
that's a new one.
I know.
Okay, so Monday Night Football next week, which I'm actually really excited about. I think this is probably the best matchup we've seen this season. Broncos at Bengals. The Bengals are on a little hot streak right now. They're going to be at home. They're fighting at two. They're both those teams are top of their division right now. I think it's going to be a good matchup. Then we have the Bears versus the Lions. And the Saints versus the Falcons, an NFC South showdown.
That's gonna be good.
Saints
Saints
versus
Falcons.
Falcons.
Yes.
Okay, and then you
So-
said who's against the Lions?
Bears versus Lions.
Where?
It's in
Detroit. Soldier
in
Field?
Chicago, because
Okay.
because it'd be at Lions if it was. I would have wrote at Lions.
Oh, okay.
So Kevin, you go first with your picks then.
Bears. I'm taking the Lions. They're looking really good this year. Really good. And Jay Cutler is demoralized after this defeat. As far as the Broncos and the Bengals are a good team, really good team. But there's no way I'm putting them above Peyton.
Yeah.
Peyton's gonna come back, and we know he's a little sick this week, but he's gonna come back dumping.
And Saints versus Falcons.
Saints, now that's gonna be good.
Where is it? Saints at Falcons?
No, it's in New Orleans.
Superdome.
I think that the key to that game for the Falcons is whether or not Julio Jones plays.
Yeah, because he's still a little.
He didn't play last, and I left him in my lineup. So stupid.
For fantasy?
Yeah. So I'm out.
Well, I think not only if Julio Jones played, but also if Jimmy Graham can step up and have a big game this game too.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would be a deciding factor as well. So that's a really good. That literally that can go either way. So I'm just gonna pick the Saints because they're at home.
Okay, Thaddeus.
I'm going to pick the Saints, the Bengals.
What? Over the Broncos?
They're in Cincinnati, right?
Little
I'm going to take the Bengals.
audacious there.
And the Lions. Is there another game that I'm missing?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yes, actually, Thaddeus, who are you going to pick, the Chargers or the 49ers?
The Chargers.
You're gonna disrespect me, and you're sitting right next to me.
That's not disrespect.
I thought we was cool.
That's just a real assessment of the situation.
All right, Steph, let's hear your picks.
I think I'm going to go with my
Y'all killing
first
me, man.
with my first instinct and go with the Bengals. I don't know why. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I kind of think they're going to win. And I'm going to go with the Lions and the Falcons and the Chargers just because I want Kevin to lose.
Yeah,
I cannot wait until next Monday. I really can't.
obviously,
I'm calling in. It's so
Obviously,
fun.
I'm taking the Chargers. I am going to go with the Broncos. Even though the Bengals are on a hot streak right now, I agree with Kevin. I think Andy Dalton's going to blow it, and I don't think Peyton Manning, it's hard for me to put anyone up against him and say that they'll beat him. I definitely the Lions, obviously. I mean, the Bears are just pitiful. But this Saints-Falcons game is like,
Go
I know,
Jahar.
it could go
that's
either
tough.
way.
Go
Like,
Jahar.
Manziel is better than Cutler.
I don't know about that. There's not enough.
That's controversial
There's not enough
statement.
game
I'm just talking mess.
to
I'm just talking mess.
Vince Young is
That's
better
a
than Cutler.
controversial statement.
The bad thing. Okay.
It's hard because the Saints are at home. You know, they played well tonight. They didn't play outstanding, but they played well. The Falcons are fighting. Either team wins out the division, they make it to the playoffs. So it's a real important game for them.
They've been a little sluggish.
Yeah, the Saints have an easier schedule. They play the Bucks after the Falcons, so like the likelihood of them making to the playoffs is a little bit greater. But
Yeah.
Pick a team. Pick it.
I think I'm gonna go Saints. Like I want to pick the Falcons so bad, but their defense is just
You
so
know, you gotta
bad.
learn. You gotta
It
learn.
is.
You gotta
Their
learn to
defense
bet
is
with your
so
heart.
bad.
They were ranked
You
last,
gotta
I
learn
think.
to bet with your heart.
And actually, you know what, Tina? Since our teams are playing each other next week, we should have a little bet going
So
on.
this is my only.
Yeah.
This is my game
Tina,
to tie up.
if
If I win this Broncos, the Bengals beat the Broncos, then me and Tina are tied again. She's got a game. She's up on me a game in the record.
So, anyways, Tina, if the Niners win next week, or excuse me, when the Niners win, you have to wear and Steph knows all about this jersey because she looked outstanding in it. My classic Jerry Rice throwback jersey.
That's fine. And when the Chargers win, you can wear my women's small Charger shirt.
Deal.
Okay.
Deal. You see it right? It's deal. And Steph,
I
when
can't
the
wait
Niners
to see
win,
Kevin in a little tight
when
I'm
you
not
t-shirt.
call
gonna
in-
next. I'll call in. I will
When you-
call in, and I
Cut
will
off.
give you the biggest,
Yeah.
best shout out you've ever gotten in your entire life.
I can't wait.
Yes.
I can't.
All right.
And where's this game at again?
It's in San Fran, but we
I
all
can't
know
believe
the
Levi
Stadium
Stadium
is cursed.
Levi Stadium, which I will be at Levi Stadium 2 weeks from now to watch them play the Arizona Cardinals, which are the NFC West.
We should have planned this better. We all really should have went to this game together.
That would've been
It
awesome.
Really
Should
fun.
That would have been awesome.
Shout
mean,
outs,
I'm-
shout outs to Kevin and
I'm
his
still
Morehouse
down.
T-shirt.
If anyone,
I know,
if
right?
anyone
That
last
proves that he
minute
is
wants
black
to
enough.
go,
All right. On
Just so
that
you
note,
know, just so you know, he represented.
HBCU.
on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. You know we love you. And just in case you were wondering, we are going to have playoff coverage and Super Bowl coverage. Guys, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at HeyKevinJohn, or my website, itskevinjohn.com. Read my sports blogs.
There's that smile.
Club Thaddeus everywhere and GQJedi.com.
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at I am Stef Z with an F.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Tina Cap. So we will see you next week. It's almost time for playoffs.
Go Niners.
Playoffs!
Peace.
Jets gonna beat the Patriots.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.